Welcome back, students. Today we're going to discuss about future perfect tense. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the past perfect tense, and now today we are going to discuss about future perfect tense, which is the last of the perfect tenses. So we're going to see what and when future perfect tense is used, what the helping verbs are, and what the structures for different sentences for the future perfect tenses are. Let's move towards our next slide. At first, we have when or what is the future perfect tense. So simple, the perfect tense is a verb tense used to describe an action that will be completed in the future before another point or action. This is the key to remember that the action that is to be completed in the future, it will be before another point or action. So it's going to be a certain point that we're going to talk about. So you need to remember that because students do get confused in what's the difference between the simple tenses, the continuous tenses, and the future tenses. So by understanding this definition, you can differentiate between the three or the perfect continuous tenses as well. So we will discuss it later on another lecture what the difference between them are. But staying on our topic now, it is formed by using the future tense. It is formed by using the future tense of the auxiliary verb will or shall. All right. So you can see that there are two helping verbs you can say over here, will and shall, and you also use have along with it. So you will either use will or shall with have. All right, so I have mentioned that shall is actually used for first person. You can use them interchangeably, there is no problem. In modern English right now, they are accepted for will is also accepted for first person as well, so there is no difference right now. So you can use them interchangeably. So we have an example like they will have traveled to many countries by the end of next year, right? So we have a certain you can say point in the future, which is the next year, and we also have used the above mentioned helping verb, which is will over here. All right, so along with that we have the have, which is going to come with will, and then the third form of the verb. We will see about that in our next slide. Formation and structures, just like in the previous past perfect, we past perfect tense, we saw the formation structures. We also have two key points to remember over here. The first one is use will and shall, will or shall. All right, so you will use either of these, either one. All right, along with have. So these are the two things to remember. You will either use will have or shall have as helping verbs. All right, and then you use the third form of verb. So a key point to remember in perfect tenses is that you use third form of verb in all the perfect tenses. Just the simple perfect tenses, not the perfect continuous tenses. That's a different thing. In a perfect tenses, you use the third form of verb. So next you have the positive sentences structures. You have it almost similar as to the past perfect tense. The only difference is that the helping verbs are going to be a little bit different from the past and the present perfect, right? The rest of the structure is same. Then we have the negative sentences in which we have the subject, then we have the helping verb will. Now here's the difference between the positive and the negative sentences. That not over here is which is used in negative sentences will come in between will and have or shall and have, right? So it will become will not have or shall not have. You cannot say will have not, right, or shall have not. That will be wrong. So you have to follow this structure. Then you have the similar third form of the main verb and the object. In the interrogative sentences, it's the same thing. You will use the helping verb at the start, but you will divide will and have separately, and the subject will come in the middle of these. All right, so it will be will he have or will she have. All right, so that will be the difference over here in regard to the other tenses. All right, let's move towards our next slide. We have the examples of some positive sentences. Uh, we have the first example: they will have rehearsed for weeks by the time the concert starts. All right, so if you remember the previous structure, hopefully you may have noted it down somewhere. You can note them down on your notebook for your help. So you can see that we have the subject, then we have the helping verb, which is will have in this case, then the third form of the verb, main verb which is rehearsed. All right, so we're clearly just following the structure that we have discussed. So if you understand the structures, if you remember the structures, you can easily use or write sentences of any tense if you remember their structure. So it's a conceptual thing that you have to remember. Next, we have I will have completed my assignment before the deadline. Follow the same structure. There is no difference over here. The only difference is that in the last sentence and the third last sentence, we have the time that the event is occurring at the start of the sentence. That doesn't matter. All right. So don't get too stuck on it that the time has come before the subject. It doesn't matter. It's okay to place the time before the subject as well. All right. So by the time the guests arrive, the party decorations will have been set up. You can also change the sentence to the simple way we saw the structure by reallocating the time to the end of the sentence as well. The sentence will become something like the party decorations will have been set up by the time the guests arrive. So in both cases, the sentence is correct. All right. Let's move to the negative sentences. In the negative sentences, if you remember it, you can see that not is between will and have. So you have the not in the middle, so between will and, or if you're using shall and have. All right, so that is only the difference between the positive and the negative sentence. It's the same sentences, I've just placed not where it belongs. They will not have rehearsed for weeks by the time the concert starts. Right, and the same thing for the last sentence and the third last sentence, that don't get stuck on it. It's the sentence is also correct if you use the a certain time that you're talking about at the start as well. All right, moving towards our interrogative sentences. Now interrogative sentences, you have the subject between will, shall, or have. All right, so if you're using shall at the start or will at the start, then you will have the subject next. All right, then you will have. All right, so in this case, the first sentence is, will they have rehearsed for weeks by the time the concert starts, question mark. So remember, there's a question mark also at the end of the interrogative sentences, and it's very important to remember that. Will I have completed my assignments before the deadline, question mark. Will she have graduated from the college by the next summer, question mark. So it's following the same structure that we learned at the start. So there is no difference. You can, if you remember the structure, it will become very easy for you to make sentences or learn examples of tenses. At the end, we have a simple exercise. You can use it to test yourself. uh, I'll leave it for you guys. You can try it out, write it down on your notebooks, and you can try completing it and test yourself just to see if you have grasped the concept that you have learned in this lecture. I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Good luck till then, and keep practicing.